Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between, welcome to another episode of the Chaps Chat Cats, a part of the Hoops Crew Media Network. My name's Jake, and I'm joined in the virtual studio on a Monday evening by Sambo and Johnny. How are we, chaps?
Good. Pretty well.
Pretty well. Sambo's got some new Cats bling in the background of his studio for those watching on the video. Sambo, the partner, picked that one up. Yeah, it looks like a little mini Geelong Cat scoreboard clock. Very cool.
Yeah, $10 find at a garage sale by the partner. So that was good find.
Johnny, still possibly seething after a controversial night of Formula Earn, Johnny?
No, just when things happen against one of your favorite drivers and then the teammate of your favorite driver seems to get preferential treatment, those conspiracy theorists, and they go to shades forth, so that sort of happens like, maybe there is something to this favoring people of being sane, and I've been trying to avoid for so long, trying to go, no, they're being fair, been trying to stick that way, but tell you what, it's getting harder and harder to believe that now.
We'll definitely need Patreon subscriber Morris, the only other person in the Chaps community apart from Johnny. And I mean, I'm the most casual of casual F1 fans, but Morris, I know you're all over the F1s. Despite John's best attempts to scare you off the sport.
I didn't try and scare him off. I just said, don't be like other Drive to Survive fans.
Pull your head in. That's all. Pull your head in, Morris. This isn't a game. You can't just go out here willy-nilly enjoying yourself.
You see, that's the problem. He wasn't enjoying
Morris's take on it. We need Morris's take on it. Give us your take, Morris. Is McLaren putting a knife in Oscar Piastri's back? Are they putting a wrench in his gears? Let us know in the comments. All right.
All I know, if they continue, they won't have him for much longer.
Yes, I well and truly agree with that one, Johnny. On this episode tonight, we're talking AFLW footy, the grand finals in the rearview mirror. Got to admit, chaps, dealt with it pretty well the week after. Had a few pangs the last couple of days, a bit of sadness about the old grand final. Don't know why it took a while for those feelings to emerge. Felt I was coping pretty well after it. Just, I don't know, bit sad that the men's season is done as well. I had so much fun watching that team this year and their journey. So yeah, looking forward. I went down to Violet Town in the northeast of Victoria, for anyone who doesn't know where that is. And there was one lone person on a Saturday afternoon having a kick at the goals in the sun at the Violet Town footy oval, and I thought, good. Other people are missing the footy too. All right. But on
is someone breaking into your house?
Yeah,
that's to be
someone might
was
be
that a window?
Do you need to grab your gun and scare them off?
Yes, indeed. There's no appropriate sound drop. I was looking for one. There isn't one.
We just heard it.
On the show tonight, the AFLW...
exactly.
Breaking glass. The AFLW Cats defeated in round 8 by a very good Carlton team down at Kardinia Park. So we're going to talk all about that. Then for Patreon, we'll cross over and do some thoughts about the match ahead against GWS. The Cats now walking an absolute tightrope to get anywhere near finals across the last 4 weeks. And we'll also do a little bit of a month in review, looking at rounds 5 to 8 and sort of unpacking just the overall narrative of the last 4 games. So if you want that part of the show, nick off over to Patreon and sign up there for a 7-day free trial. Before we get into the preview, the recap, chaps, having a mare here. I'm just worried because someone might be breaking into my house. We need to say a big Hoops Crew Media thank you to our media network sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist. www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Remember, when you're shopping online, use that voucher code GOCATS at checkout. They will knock 20% off your next purchase. So get on it. Spring, it's a lovely time of year. People want flowers. Cyril Cook have them, and we've got a 20% discount for you. All right, chaps, let's jump in. Let's rippeth the Band-Aid because the Cats can't complete a Carlton comeback at KP. Overuse of alliteration on my part. The Cats conceded the first goal of this game to Mimi Hill. They responded soon after, a major to Rachel Kearns, the Irish woman, usually a marauding defender. Well, she marauded much further afield in this game, up forward for a large chunk of this match, perhaps the whole game, in fact. Carlton, though, they did all the scoring. Apart from that one Cats major in the first quarter, the Blues went in 2-6-18 to one straight 6 leaders. They pushed that out further when Erin Fitzpatrick goaled early in the second term. Geelong, they responded, couple of behinds, and then Jackie Parry slotting a goal midway through the second term to narrow things back to 10 points. The Blues had an answer through Tara Bohanna. The Cats had an answer with Aisling Maloney, and the score at halftime was 4-8-32 to Carlton, 3-3-21. The Cats it was who got the first goal. The Blues rather it was who got the first goal after three-quarter time. Fitzpatrick on the spot for her second of the game. And that's when Geelong really stormed back into it. A flurry of scores, including back-to-back goals to Aisling Maloney and Michaela Bowen, pulling the margin back to just 4 points at three-quarter time. Unfortunately, after a frenetic opening 10 minutes to the final term, it was Darcy Vescio on the spot for Carlton to put them back out to a 10-point lead. Lila Keck finished things off for the Blues with a goal after 15 and a half minutes, and that was all she wrote. Carlton winning 7-13-55 to 5-7-35. The Cats held to one solitary behind in the final quarter as Carlton kicked 2 goals, 3 to kick away. They generated 20 more inside 50s than the Cats. They led the time in forward half by over 14 minutes for the match, and all of that, chaps, contributed to another loss for this Geelong team, who now sit 3-5 and looking up at the 8. Johnny, I'll come to you first here tonight. What are your just your opening thoughts about this game?
Yeah, again, it's just a bit more of that frustration and disappointment in the way the result happened yet again. I felt like it's definitely felt like a common event happening in these games is that the opposition starts off hot, the Cats get back into the game, right back into it, and then the fourth quarter happens and the opposition just skips away easily and sinks us. And I was just thinking about it. It's feeling like the Cats are very reactive at the moment. They're waiting to see what the opposition's going to do, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, this is how we're going to stop it." And then they can stop them for a bit, but then the opposition just finds a way to tear us apart through the middle, from defense to attack, and it just feels like there's the Blues were really well connected. Like the entire team, you can see they were all on the same page. They all knew what they were doing. They all knew what each player was going to do. And the Cats just feel very disconnected this year. It feels like there's a lot of players who know what their role is, and then there's some other players that are like unsure of whether they attack, tackle, make space, and then when we do have the ball, we can rely on Prasparkas, Nina Morrison, Amy McDonald to do their job really well, and then it's just the other players just just feel like they're connecting as well with our superstars, our big name players, as you say. Like usually when it does work, the Cats look fantastic and look damaging, look really threatening. But it just happens in so few patches that it's frustrating because it's like we know how good this team can be when they connect, when they work as a team, when they get that running game going. But when it doesn't work, what's the next step? And it feels like there is no next step. It feels like it's going to be this all-out attack and then nothing. And then when there's nothing coming up, it's like all these new players coming through who are learning and wanting to strengthen this team. They're standing there going, what do we do now? What's the next step? And that's when the opposition, like Carlton, picked us apart and jumped on that sort of unsureness of the Cats of what to do next. And yeah, I feel like it's a very common theme throughout this year's we're letting the opposition sort of start dictating the game, and then we get our turn to dominate for a quarter and a bit, and then the opposition knows what we're doing and can stop us easily, and then we're sort of like stuck in no man's land again. So yeah, frustrating and disappointing because I know how good this side can be, but we're just not seeing it enough.
I gonna throw to you here, Sambo, but it's something that like I'll sort of put a pin in to maybe circle back to. But I watched the North Melbourne Essendon. Was it Essendon that they played?
Sydney.
No, North. Yes, it was. Sydney. Thanks, Johnny. I watched that game and I sort of watched it broken up. I watched the first quarter. It was really close. And I then had to go and do some other stuff. And I thought I'll come back to that. And I put a message in the group chat saying, oh, God, just watched first quarter of Sydney and North. And God, what a game so far. And Johnny said, yeah, can't believe it was 88-20 in the end. And I went, what? And then watching back across those three quarters, consistency. North Melbourne's best footy is incredible, but the fact they do it from start to finish, they kicked 3 goals, I reckon, in the last 3 minutes of that game when they were already up by an unassailable margin. They kicked 2 in the last 90 seconds. They go from start to finish. And Sambo, that'd be my little thing, pivoting here to you. I think that Johnny's right here in terms of the height of Geelong's best football is really good. But they're not finding it anywhere near consistently enough in the 2025 AFLW, where teams like Richmond can knock off the Crows in any given week. Consistency is key.
It's literally was going to be my talking point. Was consistency.
Wow, please flesh out your thoughts.
Like, I guess you guys have hit it so well already, but yeah, it does feel to me like, and there's no denying it at the end of the day that the AFLW is still a developing league, right? Like it's come on,
absolutely.
It's come on so far, like even like obviously since the start, but the last 4 years that we've really been seriously watching it, maybe 5.
Yeah,
it's come on, like it's night and day. You think things like the way North Melbourne are remind you that there is still development to be had. And the thing I was thinking was that, looking when you can see flashes of how the game will look, and probably we're not even talking that far. Like it's probably only another couple of seasons, and you'll get to the stage where it's looking like, the best of the competition now will start to be the more common, the more consistent theme throughout. But specifically with the Cats, watching this game, I was like, I actually think, and this is again, I noted the degree of bias that's probably in this, but I actually think when the Cats are playing well, when they're playing the way they want to play, and luck is on their side, and all the elements are right, I think the Cats football looks the most like what I want the AFLW to look like. Like, and this isn't taking away anything from North Melbourne. Like North Melbourne probably, I'm just kind of ignoring them from this this conversation a little
Yeah.
bit. I think we've been beaten by a lot of teams that don't play the game to the pinnacle of the game, but they're playing the conditions and the reality better and more consistently. And when it comes to the Cats, I feel like when it's zinging, when they've got those chains on, when our defensive pressure is on, when our structure in the back half is on, and when we're linking up through the midfield, it's so enjoyable to me. It's like chef's kiss ASMR type football. But I feel like we're probably only getting it. Like if I looked, I don't know per game, so I'm going to look at the season thus far. 25% of our game time, would you say, has looked anywhere near that? That's probably actually generous. Maybe
Yeah.
15% has looked like
Yes. Yeah,
that, and
that
then
is.
then there's been another 10 to 20% that's been somewhere in the realms of good. And that's not to say the rest of it's been bad, but it's just you can like it's almost like a little bit of a time machine where it just feels like it flops back to like 4 or 5 years ago when you like it just like the once the structure and the fitness dip, it's like the skills drop back as well as you do when you're tired or stressed or panicking or whatever. Like it feels like it happens systemically across our team instead of one player having a bit of a moment where they're like, oh no, I'm under the pump here. It's kind of like the team does. And I think circling back a little bit to play other teams playing the conditions better. And I'm not going to talk about the umpires in terms of, oh, they cost us this game. Both coaches mentioned the umpiring, and that makes me feel like I've got a little bit more credibility to mention the umpiring.
A little bit of leeway.
Yeah, I just feel like I feel like even the Carlton coach admitted that they got some calls that weren't there. And the free kick count does not have to be even, so I'm not basing on that. But it was 21-13. But the point of it is that while the game's developing, there's some teams that are better utilizing the fitness levels, the skill levels, blah blah blah. And I think Carlton weren't advantaged by the umpiring, but the game they were playing was able to better utilize the umpiring. And part of that is their uncontested game. The holding the ball rule is really confusing at the moment, and they're really hot on it, and they were hot on it at the start of the year, and then they drifted off, and now it's come back again, but in different ways. They're hot on the holding the ball for different reasons now. And I think the Cats are trying to play such a contested style that we're playing into the reality of we're putting ourselves on the line to have bullshit calls. Sometimes that will go our way. Sometimes we might get hey, we got a lucky one here, but we're like, the umpires aren't playing favorites or anything like that. They're doing their jobs the way they are currently instructed to do it. And we are playing into the hands of relying on contested ball and hard defensive stuff to get the free kicks or to be able to like grab it and rip it out of there and get out of there. And we're like opening ourselves up to having these really hot holding the ball conversation, like calls against us. And like the uncontested possession count was 172 to 128 in Carlton's favor. Now that doesn't, it's not a stat that necessarily decides the outcome, but I think it does show you how Carlton were more often than not putting themselves in positions not to be in the grey of the what is the holding the ball. And then if you just quickly, I will shut up, but the last point on this
It's a
is
podcast.
not only
You're meant to talk.
not only did they have the most overall uncontested possession, but they had the top 5 uncontested possession getters on the ground. 19, 18, 17, 16, and 11. Amy McDonald did tie. Sorry, was tied 5th, but just for pure clarity there. So technically, Amy McDonald was in the top 5. By being equal, but so it's not only were they overall their game style leading them to get more uncontested possessions, but their stars and their players that were getting the most ball were getting it in a way that advantaged them in this current climate of what is holding the ball. That was my tangent, basically. That was the big thing I came away with. I was like, I need to go go and look into this. Why these calls feel like they're going against us? And it's that our game style is putting us on the line to be at the mercy of it.
Yeah. It'd be good to know what
Does that make sense?
holding the ball is.
Yeah.
Because
Well, they've
it is
Yeah.
some of the calls, yeah. Just be good to hear what the AFLW's ruling on holding the ball is, because to me, like, I don't think you should be get done for holding the ball when the opponent holds the ball against you while you're standing up, and then you get told you dived on it, and then it's on you to get rid of it. It's like, how are you meant to get rid of it when the opposition's clutching it to you as tightly as they can?
Yeah, I mean, this is like,
Yeah.
what classes is diving on it versus what's classes falling on it, or just like bending down to pick it up. like
So,
this.
yeah.
Something I've
like-
noticed
Go
that I
ahead.
really don't like, that I'm noticing with the holding the ball interpretation, and it's not just in the women's, it's in the men's as well, but I think it's more pronounced in the women's game, is players not wanting to take possession.
Yes.
And that to me is a massive issue for the game. Like, I understand why we're saying we want to open the game up by keeping the ball in flow more. So we're going to pay more free kicks for holding the ball so we don't have as many contests form. It's like, okay, well and good. But the problem now, whenever a contest does form, no one wants to be that player to take possession. There's a lot of little sort of, we'll flick it around, or I'll flick it here, I'll just nudge it here, but no one wants to actually pick the ball up. And that to me is shit footy. That is not what the game should look like.
And that's what I mean by like when Geelong, it's work with Geelong, we look the best, like the best football, not the best team, the best football. But it's happening so inconsistently because I actually think that style of football is not helped by the current rulings. And I want to be clear again. I'm not saying we were targeted, but Dan Lowther in his post-game press conference even said, when he brought it up, he said, we've got to be better at not letting that affect us. Good. I agree with that. But he also said, like, game style, he's like, we're not going to let that change our approach to the game. We want to be first to the ball. We don't want our players doing exactly what you're talking about, Jake, about what, like, waiting and being the set. We want our players to take it on and be aggressive.
Do you know what?
And I'm so 50-50 on that. I love it. I love that like, no, we've got a game style and we're going to play it. But I also have this little niggling thing of like, but if it's repeatedly getting you into trouble, is that smart? Or would it be smart to go, you know what, like we got out uncontested possession, and we also got outmarked because of that 55-37. Like, I don't want it to go backwards, but yeah.
There is a very simple fix that AFL can do, which they did in the men's game for about 4 rounds, and then they decided to get rid of it, which was blow the whistle quicker. Don't just hold on, let this contest roll on for 20 seconds. Like, as soon as the player gets tackled, blow the whistle. Don't give them a chance to give them like maybe a couple of seconds to get rid of it, and then blow the whistle for a ball up or holding the ball. Don't just like continues on for so long, and then the ball pops out, and then the opposition runs away or another team runs away with it. It's like, there was a point when the AFL, it was a couple of years ago, where they started blowing the whistle really quick, and it moved the game on so much quicker. It was so much better. And then for some reason they reverted back to, let's see how this goes. And it's just, I reckon, they need to blow the whistle quicker. Or
I still think we'll get in trouble a lot.
Or, in fact, you know what? Just don't have ball ups. Just whoever gets tackled, that's holding the ball. No matter what.
We've talked about this. Like, we've talked about this. Like, how what are they going to eventually do with the holding the ball rule? Because it's such a delicate balance. Because you want to, you don't want all those packs forming, and because I think that you can see in games teams that are really good on it. I mean, Collingwood were really good at it. It was in their flag year. at just stopping up contests and getting on top of the footy and not allowing it out. It was just stoppage after stoppage, and it helped them run the clock out. You don't really want that. But conversely, as we just said, you don't want players not wanting to take possession. That is crap football. We should, whatever the case may be, the player who should have a favorable light cast on them. The player that should be rewarded is the player that gets to the ball first. Because that's what they should be competing for. The ball. Not, I'm going to hang half a second off here, wait till she gets it, pin it to her, and then I'll get a holding the ball decision. That's crap football. Like, and it's not a dig at Carlton, it's a dig at the rules. Because I'll just pivot this maybe out of this conversation, chaps, about the umpiring itself. Is to areas that were within Geelong's control. I thought Carlton should have had us buried at quarter time. And something that I think, you talked, Sam, about, if we don't play to the rules, if we just back our system and we don't maybe adjust our technique to the rules, it's going to kill us. Something that we could adjust that's within our control is the skill and execution. Because something that I saw from North is they still go for the ball. They still are first to the ball. But do you know why North don't get caught holding the ball so much? Is because they are absolutely elite with their hand and foot skills, whether they're in a tackle, in traffic, out in the open. And I thought, on balance, Carlton's skills by hand and foot were significantly better than ours, particularly in patches of the game. I honestly, chaps, and I'm not trying to be like negative, it's observational. I really think that our development as a squad has stagnated in terms of how we use the football. I think I think you see those moments where we're trying, where the Cats are trying to move the ball and get those link ups happening. And as you said, Sambo, when it happens, it's like, oh, holy moly, that's magic. But why isn't it happening? It's because we're missing handball targets. It's because we're over baking kicks. It's because another thing I find really frustrating is, we'll get the ball, we'll have nothing, in that sort of medium range. So we'll just bomb it long. And the amount of times I thought Carlton were clever in how they pulled the ball short to space where a player could lead into it. I think the Cats at the moment, I think we've got to make some tweaks because I think our approach tactically is a little bit naive. I can't fault the effort, the endeavor, the aggression, the toughness, all of that stuff. But I think that we bomb it long without looking or without patience a lot. And I think the really good teams, if I look at North, I look at the Hawks, I look at Carlton, teams that we've played recently and lost to, they all spread the ball laterally really, really smartly. They're so clean.
Yeah.
And I really do think we lack that on the weekend.
No, I totally agree. I feel like we're not progressing as other teams are. I feel like other teams.
I think some players are. I think some things are too. I just want to, sorry, John. I just want to kind of cross it just there to just put the caveat. Like, it's not necessarily everyone and everything, but I just think when you contrast it to the teams, like we thought this team was, and we still think this team has the talent individually, and I think that stands out. You still see individuals do crazy shit all the time, ridiculously skilled stuff. As a squad, cohesion-wise, I do think we've fallen back, or rather, other teams have pulled away from us in terms of their skill.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it feels like other teams are understanding the new, like how the game's evolving, transforming, becoming this sort of more open, using your skills a lot more cleanly. And then, as you said, it feels like the Cats are still resorting back to the earlier days of AFLW, which was, if in doubt, kick it long, and hopefully someone will get it. Whereas I think we've easily got the skills that got the players with the skills, the kicking ability, handballing ability to hit up these targets. But it just feels like whenever we do, either drop the mark or a handball's just that little bit behind them. And so you see the top teams like Adelaide, North Melbourne, even West Coast now, Carlton, when they
Hawthorn.
handball and kick, Hawthorn, their handballs and kicks are nearly spot on each time. And it just feels like the Cats are still just developing a different way, but slower than other teams. And it just, it feels like it's going to work. And when it does work, it's fantastic. But then when it doesn't, it just falls in a heap. And it's, frustrating because we all know what this team can do. It's a pretty solid team. We just need that cohesion.
We're short of something up forward, right? I love
Chloe
Jackie
Shear,
Parry.
yeah.
I love Aisling Maloney, but they're both two particular players that bring specific stuff, and they like to roam. They both like to roam and get back, and help out in between the arcs. And I feel like you were talking about spreading laterally, Jake, and I agree. But the Cats want to go hard and fast, direct, and that's fine. And we did that many times. But it's only fine if you've got somewhere to go. How many miles? Maybe it might have only been half a dozen times, but it felt like a lot more. And even that is a significant amount where we would transition, we'd break out, we'd use a couple of good handballs, and like you said, we'd either bomb it and it's useless, or we'd have to wait because our will and our dare to go was ahead of our structure. We had nothing structured up ahead of us, and then we'd end up getting tackled or overusing the handballs. Sometimes that was you'd see these great chains, and then we'd go, okay, no, just pass. That's one too many handballs. And then there was still 3 or 4 handballs to come after that one. And eventually you realize it's because we were we had nothing beyond that. We had no target beyond that. We're waiting for Maloney or Parry, who have come down the field and impacted. That mark from Parry was out of my seat. That was such an incredible mark.
Yeah.
But you're I want that mark just at the top of the goal square.
Yeah.
It was great where it was. Again, if you've got something else, but that was one of those moments where you could feel the excitement and the lift from that effort and that skill and the execution, and then all dissipated because she turned to wheel and go. And it was I can't remember specifically if she did bomb it long in that moment or went shorter, but you could just tell that there was this the momentum just kept dying after these moments because we had nothing ahead of the ball. So I agree with everything we've said previously. But I do think the other thing we're lacking, the thing that could help us win the games with this style, even though it's maybe not the most elevated, modern, clinical style, is some kind of lethal factor up forward. Because I think Parry and Maloney bring danger, but it's again a little bit inconsistent. It's a kind of a chaotic, you just don't know what either of them could pull out at any moment. Screamer marks, crazy goals, but neither of them are consistently just clunking a mark and kicking boring set shots, which is essentially kind of what we need.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first time this year that I thought it was stark, the contrast in forward half system between two teams.
Yeah,
where the Cats,
Yeah,
everything is created from chaos and nothing tends to come easily. If scores do come easily Geelong's way, it's generally because they finally put together one of those counter attacks where, sweet, we've turned them over in our back half. We get a bunch of really accurate disposals off quickly, and we're able to get them out the back. A lot of Aisling Maloney's goals this year have come running into an open goal. Not all of them, but plenty of them. And a lot of it is sort of ad-libbed and improv. Whereas I thought there were so many times where Carlton were able to find reliable avenues to goal. And at the moment, what it feels like, chaps, is, if you could put it in a nutshell, Geelong has some really special players, and each week we're relying on them to do enough special things to win us the game. And a lot of other teams have really reliable systems, and so they know what their avenues are. They know what how the machine should operate, and they go about trying to make it happen. Now, that is a fan's read. I'm not saying that Geelong don't have a system. It's talking about how it appears. How it appears is if Prasparkas doesn't get 30-odd touches and a bunch of clearances, if Maloney and Parry don't pull out a couple of incredible goals, if Michaela Bowen's not doing some sort of incredible chase down tackle, like the gears don't turn over. Whereas Carlton just felt like they had a lot of contributors and they really were decisive in how they used the ball. Chaps, let's end the public show on a bit of an upswing because obviously there are players who stand out to us and do other stuff good too every week, regardless of whether they win, lose, or draw. So what were your 1, 2s, and 3s? I'll start with you, Sambo. Where did you go with your 1, your 2, and your 3 votes?
I did find it as always quite difficult. Because in weeks like this, there's so many moments where you go across the game, where you go bang. They're in my votes, and well, I don't know if you guys do this. I do this. I'm in the first quarter putting people in my votes already, and then by the end of the game, I've got to go back and troll through my opinions and match it up what else in the game and also the stats. So I found it a bit difficult. The one that I did think early was in my votes that has remained in my votes. And statistically, I'm not sure if it's it's the best. I don't know if it's really to stack up. But I gave my 1 to Georgie Rankin. I gave my 2 to Prasparkas, and I gave my 3 to the original obvious choice, Amy McDonald.
Nice.
Johnny, which way did you go?
Yeah, I was the same with Sam. It was difficult to pick outstanding players in this game. It was a bit of a struggle, but I think I've got the ones I thought that seemed to do good things, who stood out to us and did other stuff good too. I'm going to give 1 to Kilpatrick. I just feel I like her hustle. I like her determination to attack the ball, get there, and try and start something for the Cats. That she makes a few mistakes here and there, but she just doesn't kick it. Comes off the boot wrong, and she's kicked a few out of bounds in the Fools. But I like her determination to keep on going, and it doesn't seem like those small mistakes affect her ability to continue on trying her best to impact the game. So really enjoying watching her play. Giving 2 to Michaela Bowen. Just another solid game by Michaela. Yeah, really just proving my point from the start of the season that she's a really important player to the Cats. And I'm also giving my 3 to Amy McDonald. I just thought, another a game back to her best, where she's just clearly the best player for the Cats and proved it yet again.
Yeah, mine aren't too dissimilar, I've got to say. I went 1 vote to Becky Webster. I thought she did some really good things. There's obviously that one-on-one contest she won, that then went on to set up a goal eventually down the other end. But I just thought in general, I thought she had one of her better games for the season. I don't know if it proved out that way statistically, but I gave her 1 vote. My 2 votes went to Michaela Bowen. She was already a great player for the Cats. She fits so much for me in that sort of Tom Atkins tier of player, within a team. They're just absolute glue players sort of thing. They just hold everything together, and 18 disposals, 8 tackles, and a goal, and 1 goal assist as well. I just thought she was excellent again. But yeah, my 3 votes go to Amy McDonald, who played clearly her best game of the season. In my opinion, that was the most Amy McDonald that we've seen Amy McDonald play this year. So she was quite spectacular, I thought. I think that's about all. We might talk about the rest of it over on the Patreon. Yes, we will. We'll do that. So thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing. Please do hit that subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., subscribe or follow to the pod. Chuck us a 5-star rating. if you wouldn't mind. Would really, really appreciate that. I think we're on 46 5-star ratings on Spotify, so it'd be great to crack the half ton if we can. All right, we will be back next week with another AFLW show. But yeah, come on over to the Patreon, see what it's all about. We're going to be recording the Hoopies. You will have already watched the Hoopies by now because we record this on a Monday night and release it on a Tuesday. But yeah, we're going to be recording the Hoopies Awards show in about an hour and a half. So we've got to wrap this one up. All right. Thanks, guys. Till next time. Go Cats.
Go.